Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Madness University. This is LZ. I am here with Nick, and today we're going to give you the top 4 ways to sell your cards, quote unquote, advanced tips.
Yeah,
Sell
no
your
beginner
cards.
stuff here today.
No beginner stuff. And as a teaser, I have a great random question for Nick at the end. All right, Nick. So what are your 2 best advanced tips you have for the audience selling cards?
So let's go with eBay. We all know how to list on eBay. I'm sure everybody listening has used eBay. But what I have found is that you can mess with the keywords quite a bit. So if you're listing a card that's a PSA 7 or something like that, you can actually say, looks nicer or looks like a PSA 10. And then that query, and it might be true, right? It might look like it was undergraded. Now, when people query PSA 10 in the search function, your listing will come up. This works in other ways. So let's say you're selling something that's basketball related. Let's say it's a Luka Doncic rookie card. You want to get more eyeballs on that thing. You do the standard stuff. You put the number in there. You put the card parallel in there. You put its name in there, Mavs. But also put something like better than Wemby, or
Ooh.
Is he as good as Wemby? Question mark, or something like that. You know what's going to happen now? There's nothing illegal. Like, this is totally allowed. Like, you're allowed to put a title in there. Now, when people Google Wemby, they'll see your card. They like basketball. They might like Luka Doncic. They might believe in him too. And so you're just trying to get more eyeballs on this, and keywords are your friend.
Nick, have you tried putting it in the description?
Of course. So
does that also work?
Yeah. So think of the description like SEO on Google. So most people will just take the title and copy and paste it in the description. And I've been guilty of that. It's quite lazy. What you want to do in the description is actually use, like those keywords. So talk about like, this is a generational player. He's a center. He plays for the Spurs. He's, he can block. He can do this, all that. And then, you know what? Copy and paste that, put it into Google Gemini and say, make this a good eBay listing description. And it will look beautiful, sound beautiful, have all the right keywords, and you will get found a lot faster. And make sure you throw a fire emoji on that title.
It's got to be fire, right?
Got to put the fire. Or
what about
eyeballs.
A goat? Throw a goat on there too?
Yeah, goat. A chart up is good. A rocket ship is good. Just one little emoji will help it stand out. And that's just a quick little advanced tip for eBay.
Okay. All right. That's number 1. Number 2?
Number 2. So Instagram is a great place for us to communicate. It's a good platform for cards because it's very visual. You can see cards. You can see people opening cards. It's pretty awesome. What I didn't realize was you can actually go into the accounts section and search for particular areas. So if I'm a vinyl collector as well, I could type in vinyl and it'll show up all these top vinyl accounts. And then you go down a rabbit hole, follow them, find out who they're following. And it works for cards too. So you're into vintage baseball, go in and type in baseball cards in the account function, just in the app on Instagram. You'll see a bunch of them come up. A lot of them will be people that you're already connected and that are following, and that sort of validates it. So you do that, and then you go in and see who they're following. You do it by the pool or like while you're sitting on the couch, and within an hour or two, you'll probably be connected to hundreds of people in the space. That's going to increase your network for available cards, and that's going to give you opportunities to sell and transact and buy as well.
Nice. I didn't. Yeah, these are 2 great tips. I didn't even think about kind of searching on Instagram.
Awesome.
It never crosses my mind to do that. All right, the 2 I have. One is a bit obvious, and we've talked about it before, but yeah, it's advanced, especially for someone who's just starting out selling. If you're going to be going to a card show, please make sure that you do research on your cards before you show up. And sounds real.
That's hard work, man.
It sounds.
What kind of research do we have to do?
Oh, come on. It sounds really obvious, but you have to understand the prices. You have to understand the comps. You got to understand the high and low. I would probably do the last month, how that thing's been selling. You can use some of the resources we talk about, 130 Point. You can use eBay. You can use Facebook. You can use a lot of them, but you got to be doing your research, because the last thing you want is to get your first time selling. Someone makes you an offer and you're not prepared for that offer. You got to be prepared for the offer. And another great tip is put prices on the cards, right? We've heard that before. I want to say it again in this episode. You want to be approachable. You want to have prices on there. And I don't want to stick a price tag to my slab. Don't. You're going to be use one of the sleeves instead. Put the sleeves on top of the slab. and put the price tag on. So that's a bit obvious, but it's not obvious because when I go to shows, I would say 80% of the sellers do not have price tags. It's probably even more than that. It's probably 90% do not have price tags.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, when I make an offer, they're kind of stumbling like, oh, I need to check the comps first. And then you stand around all awkward.
If they even stand up and say and recognize you, they often on the phone sitting down.
If they even acknowledge me.
You know what else I've done at card shows? I'll actually reach out. It's small work for big ones, but for the more regional shows, I'll reach out to the show promoter and I'll say, hey, I'm looking for 86 Fleer Larry Bird card this weekend. There's a signing next week. I got to get it fast. He's like, all right, yep, Bob in the corner over there. He's got him. You know, like that's kind of a shortcut. Might save you like 20 minutes of roaming.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Next one is Facebook. You talked about it. I've talked about it, but different angle to it. One is, yes, we talk a lot how we belong to the 1986 Flair basketball set. Sports Card Madness also has a group as well. So we belong to both of those groups. But if you're trying to sell a Patrick Mahomes card, make sure you're signing up for the Facebook group for the Kansas City Chiefs. You want to make sure you're in all of those different team groups.
Those groups are crazy underutilized resource.
Yeah,
dude, I don't even like the Lakers. I'm a Celtics guy. I went on the Lakers page. I found this guy with so much 86 Fleer autographs. It was just Lakers guys. But that's awesome, you know, and there's so many of them.
Yeah.
Such good advice.
Yeah. So it's that. So that's the selling side, and then more on the buying side, as Nick mentioned, right? Yeah, just do it for that. Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, everything that I've been into lately, right? I've been talking about WNBA. I'm in WNBA groups now. Talking about Stranger Things. When you know, I'm in a Stranger Things group right now, and I have found cards.
What you
on
are?
Both of.
Sorry, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So, all right. So hopefully those tips, especially, I mean, Nick's were really advanced, and thank you for bringing those up because those are some ones I didn't even think about, but the Facebook one's a good one for you all too. All right. Without further ado, let's get to my random pop quiz.
Pop quiz. Here we go.
All right. Here we go. Give me your top 3 favorite movies of all time.
Okay. I'm going to spread these out across like different styles and things like that.
Okay.
Shawshank Redemption, because I don't know, I feel like that's just such a great redemption story. It's one of the best arcs of all time, portrayed by some of the best actors of all time. That story will hold up for 100 years. I love it. Beautiful redemption story.
So real quick, I'm going to interrupt you for 1 sec. So I have a 16-year-old son, Tyler. He's been on the show a little bit. He's very much a regular 16-year-old who loves like action movies and a lot of things going on. And I told him I want you to watch a movie that really has a good story, and there's not going to be great special effects.
Nope.
And he's like, "Oh, come on, Dad." And I had him watch Shawshank, and he loved it. And he's like, "Dad, I know what you're saying by a good story now. I get it." Yeah.
All right. Number 2, you can probably see a mile away because you're my brother-in-law. Empire Strikes Back. It's just like, that's the peak of Star Wars for me. I mean, it's not really a spoiler, hopefully, but, you know, Vader's his dad. It sort of gets revealed. And it's just like the ultimate, like, gut punch movie scene of all time. And you never saw it coming. And it's just an amazing movie from beginning to end. You know, all of them are good, but that's my pick for kind of that genre.
Okay.
Oh, man. And then I feel like I enjoyed the Lord of the Rings movies so much. I got to give one of them a nod.
Okay.
They were all very good. I feel like I'm going to give it to another one that's in the middle. The Two Towers. I feel like it had the best battle. It had a little less like of the comedy. It was darker. It's very real. So the second Lord of the Rings movie would be it. And then
that's it. That's
an honorable. Yeah, all right, fine.
Oh, you're gonna have an honorable mention?
No, it's okay. It's okay. You'll probably mention it. So,
all right. So I'm gonna have 2 kind of obvious ones, and then one that is gonna completely throw everybody for a complete curveball. All right. So we do have one that's the same. I was gonna pivot to a different one, but it's like, no, this is one of my top movies. It's Shawshank Redemption. The story, I mean, it's Stephen King.
Yeah.
I think it's Stephen King's best movie. I do. I mean, you have The Shining, you have It, you have a lot, but I do think this is Stephen King's best movie. And I know he didn't direct the movie, but he certainly wrote the story. So that's number one. Number two, Braveheart.
Ooh,
Braveheart. Oh,
yeah.
it's like a 3 hour movie, but it doesn't feel like a 3 hour movie. It's a true story. Oh, talk about motivating. Just yeah, it's just fantastic. That is like peak Mel Gibson before he got into some trouble and declined big
Yeah.
time in his
A little
career.
crazy.
But that was peak Mel Gibson. And there's a lot of kind of great young actors. If you rewatch that movie, you're going to notice a lot of guys that have become big actors in their own right. So those are number one and number two. Completely random. It's gonna probably it's again, this is my top three favorite movies. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Willy Wonka, the Gene Wilder, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Wow.
It brings back so many memories. Um, it's a great children's, I know it's a children's, but it's a great children's story. The music's great. It's held up. And to be completely frank, how many remakes have they done of that movie?
I
It
don't
must
know.
be pretty damn good if they've
Yeah.
remade it 4 times already.
Yeah.
Willy Wonka, Nick.
Never
Willy
would have.
Wonka. I could watch that. I could watch that like
We may
every
get some
weekend.
crap for this.
I
All
am
right,
going to
so
get some crap
once
for it.
again, audience, let us know what your picks are in the comments. I'm sure we missed some gnarly ones, but
All right.
feels
Bye,
pretty good.
everybody.
All right, thanks everyone.